Right, Shalom, Shalom. It's Brother Yatazadak, hero of Israel. I'd like to start off by giving the honor and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem Kodash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Today we're going to go into Leviticus chapter 3, going into the Hebrew. So Lord willing, you're edified, giving the honor and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem Kodash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. All right, let's get right into it. It's Leviticus chapter 3, right, verse 1. And it reads, Wa'im Zabach Shalamyam, and if it be a sacrifice of peace offerings, let's see, their oblation, Korbanwa, I'm Man Habakwar, if it be from the herds, Hawa, meaning he, will bring it near, Ma Korayab, I'm Zakar, I'm Nakwaba, meaning if it be a male, if it be a female, it shall be whole or perfect, Damayama, which he will bring near, right? Ya Kwaryab Nawa, which he will bring near to it, right? So it just means he will bring near to it, right? Ya Kwaryab Nawa, Lapanaya Yahweh, before the Lord. So like Wa Samak Yadwa Al Ra'ash, and he will place his hand upon its head. Upon the head of the oblation, right? So it's like it says, and he will lean his hand upon the head, right, of the oblation. So like it says, and will lean his hand upon the head of the oblation, right? Wa Samak Yadwa Al Ra'ash Korbanwa, right? And will slaughter it. Wa Shachatwa, at the door of the tent of assemblage, Pathach Achol Mawa'id. Wa Zarakwa, and will scatter to it the sons of Aaron, Benaiah Aran, the priest, Ha Kahanyim, to its blood, Atha Hadam, upon the altar round about, Al Ha Mazabach Sabiab, Waha Kwaryab Mazabach, and he will bring it near unto the altar, right, for peace offerings, Ha Shalamyam, Asha La Yahweh, for a fire offering unto the Lord, Atha Ha Chalab, to its fat, Salakia, to the fat that covers it, Ha Makasa, to the inwards, Atha Ha Korab, and to Wa Atha, all the fat, Kal Ha Chalab, Ashar, which is beside the inwards, right? Al Ha Korab. So that's talking about the outward, right? The outside of it, right? The outside of what? That's still talking within the animal itself, but you have the inner part of the animal, which is the fat, and then you have the fat that surrounds, for example, certain organs, right, and right around the inside, right. Wa Atha Shataya, and to the two kidneys, Ha Kalayath, Wa Atha Ha Chalab, and to the fat which is upon it, Ashar Alayahan Alhan, Ashar Al Ha Kasalium, which is upon the sides, right? So it's talking about the kidneys, right? The two kidneys to the fat which is upon it, right? And it says, which is upon the sides of it, right? It's talking about the same thing, and it's talking about the flank, right? Which is also known as the caul, right? Which is like a fat lining, a webbing of fat that surrounds certain organs, right? So let's look at that cassol, because that word cassol, Slovakia, let me get that real quick. Cassol, right? Which it says to be fleshly fat, right? Denoting the loin or the flank, right? Which is really, it's talking about the flank. Right? Cassol also means foolish, right? It says to be become stupid. The Arabic says cassol, sluggish, right? But it's denoting, right, in Leviticus, the flank, right, or the caul, right? When you say flank, right, it's denoting two different things, right? For example, let's look up flank, what the definition is. It says flank, the side of a person's or animal's body between the ribs and the hip, right? Which is really, right, so that word kasal would mean side, right? As in, right, the area of the hip, right? Which you can say it means hip as well, right? But it literally means, right, side, flank, which is the side of an animal or a person, right? This is the flank right here, right? Which is in the cow, it would be it says near the abdomen, right? So that is the flank on the outside, which would be on a person would be the hip, right? Which in the cow is called the flank, right? So that word kasal could be flank, caul, side, right? But really, when you look at kasal, you want to look at it as pertaining to the side of something, right? So it says, and to the two kidneys, and to its fat, which is upon it, which is, right, upon the sides, right? Ha kasalium, right? Because when you say flank, when you say caul, right, you're talking about specific things, right? Here in general, it's saying, right, it's talking about the two kidneys and what is beside the kidneys, right? It's not talking about the whole. See, we're talking about the inside of the sacrificial animal. We're not talking about the outside area, right? As in the abdomen. It's talking about the two kidneys and that which surrounds the two kidneys, which is known as the caul, right? Which is on the side of it, which it surrounds the organ itself, which is a webbing of fat, right? This is the caul right here, right? So this would be, right, it's like a webbing of fat, right? Caul, this is the caul right here. But when it says cassolium, it's not necessarily the caul itself, right? But it is implying that it is talking about the caul, right? So when it says wa'atha ha yatharath, and to that which remains, right? So this is talking about the two kidneys, right? The fat that is in the inner part of the animal, right? Which is Salakia, what verse 3 was talking about, right? So, for example, right? Salakia. Let's get that real quick. Right, so it says presents the fat that covers the inward, right, which is this right here, and to the fat and to all the fat which is beside the inwards, right? So this here, this is the inside of the animal, right? Here's a hoof, and it's cut in half. This part is talking about the inner fat, right? The fat in this area, right? Because you have the organs, right, in the middle, but in the actual middle is most of the fat. You're going to take that out, right? And to all the fat which is beside the inwards is the fat near the skin, right? So that's going to be pulled out. And then, right, for example, there's the kidneys, or Salakia, let me scroll down. You have the two kidneys, right, which is, we're going to do that, paint that visual again, right? Here's the animal cut in half, right? So the kidneys would be here, right? To the two kidneys and to the fat which is upon it, right? Because that's talking about the causalium, the caul, right? But that's not the actual word for caul, right? So there's going to be a webbing of fat that surrounds those organs, right? So it says, and to the two kidneys and to the fat which is upon it, that's talking about the caul, which is upon the sides, right? Which is causalium, which is translated as flanks, right? Because remember, the flank is the abdomen part, right? For example, this would be the flank. But we're not talking about the abdomen itself. We're talking about that which is beside it, which is the liver, right? Which was to be the two livers, which the two kidneys, Salakia, which was to be pulled out, right along with the webbing of fat that was around it, right? Which is why it says to the two kidneys and to the fat which is upon it. That is the caul itself. Ashar al hakasalium, which is beside, which is upon the flanks, meaning it's on the side of the animal, as in the abdomen area, right? And it says, Salakia, and to that which remains of it, right? Meaning all the fat that is around there, right? Because verse 3 says the inwards, the inner fat, and the outer fat, right? Verse 4 says the two kidneys, the fat that is around it, which is upon it, which is the caul. Ashar al hakasalium, which is upon the sides, or the upon it, right? As in the abdomen, right? Or flank, right? Which just means the abdomen part, the side, right? So you will read it as which is upon the sides of it, right? Or you could say flanks, because that's just talking about the hips, right? And it says all hakabad, beside the liver, right? Kabad is the liver, right? That means liver. So you would take that out as well, right? Beside the kidneys, al hakalayith, yasayarna, right? Meaning they will be turned back. They will turn them back, as in they're going to remove it, right? So let's look at that word kabad, right, which means liver, right? Reason why kabad means heavy, right? That means heavy in the Hebrew, right? Because the kidney, or Salakia, the liver, can take a lot, right? It absorbs, let's just look that up, right? Purpose of the kidney, liver, Salakia. All the blood leaving the stomach and intestines passes through the liver. The liver processes the blood and breaks down, balances, and creates nutrients, right? So the liver has a heavy function in the body, right? Um, Bile production and excretion, right? Metabolism of fats, proteins, and carbohydrates, right? It says the liver filters all the blood of the body and breaks down poisonous substances such as alcohol and drugs, right? So the liver is important, right? It says the liver also produces bile, a fluid that helps digest fats and carry away waste. So that's why it's called liver. Put it simple, right? It has a heavy function, right? It's important, right? That's what it means, right? So Salakia, let me get that. First, let's get Kasol, or actually I already looked that up, right? I already clicked on that, right? Because Kasol also means what? Foolish, right? Nabal, that means folly, not the same as foolish, right? Um, let's click on that actually, which also means vile, right? Which is also the word for corpse, right? Because the corpse is vile thing. It rots, it decomposes, it turns vile, right? So Nabal, senseless, foolish, right? Really, it just means right, folly, right, vile, right? The Aramaic says Nabal, reject, despise, right? Um, so yeah, right. Just like the word kasap, which means silver, but it also means to be pale, right? You be right. You could be homesick, right? You're pale, right? Or you could be pale because you're just, you're like it says in Psalm 17, right? Esau, they compared Esau as a lion that was pale for its prey, as in, sick of waiting, just wanted, because that's what Esau wants to do. He just wants to destroy, 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 right? But he can't just do it. He has to wait, right? Um, to establish his charagma, right? Because now he has no power, right? You know, he's not once the mighty hunter that he was, right? He's turned into a woman. He's a sissy, right? Um, so I already clicked on that flank. Scripture says that they are become his woman, right? Because he's grown complacent, right? In his kingdom, right? And the worm is built up under him, right? So his time is short, right? He's not multiplying as he should, so that just, you know, he can't do what he used to do, right? He can't just go around and like they did back in the Jim Crow days, just go and chase all the Jakes, right? Because there's too many Jakes and not enough Edoms, right? So they can't do that, right? Because Jake will, I mean, I mean, there just isn't enough Edomites, right? So they have to wait for that charagma, or else, the people of the earth will literally just like annihilate him. I mean, it can be done, but the Lord put it in the spirit of these other nations to not do that, right? Because they want to see him go down, right, and fall at their feet, right? So the Lord raised up all these things, right, in its perfect time, like it says in Book of Jeremiah, right? In the beauty of thy perfection, your destruction will come. That's talking about America, Babylon the Great. But anyways, so it says, verse 5, Waha Kwatayarwa, and will offer it as and will be offered as incense unto it, Athawa, the sons of Aaron, Benaiah, Aaron, upon the altar, Ha Mazabacha, right? Um, Beside the burnt offering, right? Al Ha'ila, which is upon the wood. Ashar al Ha'itazayim, right? Which is upon the fire. Ashar al Ha'ash. Asha Rayach Nayachach, right? For a fire offering for an odor pleasant unto the Lord. La Yahweh, right? Now, because you have what? It says in verse 3, right? That you're going to take the inwards, right, of the fat, right, and offer it upon the fire, right, which is why it says beside the burnt offering, right, because you're going to offer the fat and then you're going to offer the kidneys and the liver, right, as it's one whole offering, but you're not gonna do it all at once. You're gonna remove the fat, put it in the fire, and then the kidneys and the two kidneys and the liver, right? Verse 6, Wa'im man ha taza'an, and if it be from the flax, their oblation, korbanwa, to sacrifice peace offerings, la zabach shalamyam, unto the Lord, la Yahweh. If it be a male or female, zakar awa nakwaba, it shall be whole, right? Thamayim, right? You could say perfect or whole, right? It just denotes, right, something that is complete, right? Yakwaryab nawa, they will bring near unto it, right? I'm kashab, if it be a lamb, right? Which he, Hawa, will bring near, ma kwaryab, right? To his oblation, atha korbanwa, right? Waha kwaryab athawa, and he will bring near unto it before the Lord, la panaya Yahweh, right? Wasamak atha yadwa, and will lean to his hand upon the head, al ra'ash of the oblation, korbanwa, and will slaughter to it, wa shachat athawa, before the tent of assemblage, la panaya achal mawa'id, and will scatter wa zarakwa, the sons of Aaron, Benaiah Aran, to its blood, atha damwa, upon the altar round about, al ha-mazabach sabyab. Verse 9, Waha kwaryab, and he will bring it near to the altar, mazabach, for peace offerings, ha-shalamyam, asha la Yahweh, for fire offering unto the Lord, right? Chalabwa ha-alya, to the fat of its tail, which will be whole, tamayama, right? With its bone, la aimath, ha itaza, right? Um, because that word aimath, right? It means which is where you get the word I'm, which means people. It just means together, right? Right, which it says with the bone, right? Now let's get that Leviticus 3 and 9. First, we're going to go into that word for tail, and then we're going to go look that up for bone, right? Because that's all that I'm means. It means with, right? Actually, I think I already have it pulled up. Aima means darken, dim. The Arabic says I'm, cover, veil, conceal. Aima, to collect, to join together. Whence I'm being a people, right? Which is just means with, right? Syriac says I'm to be covered as the sky, right? Now let's get that other word. Ha'itaza, right? Which it says backbone, spine, backbone, bone close to fat tail. Says aitaza, the backbone, right? The Arabic says aitazana is a thigh bone, right? Now let's click on this, see what it says. Aitaza, to make firm, right? Aitaza, to shut, right? Now let's look up bone, right? Aitazum, right? Means bone, right? Let's click on that actually. It says to bind fast, to tie up, to be vast, mighty, numerous, right? It says Salakia. See if I can get what I was looking for. Itazum, bone, so called from its firmness and strength, right? Which is where you get the word mighty, right? Which just means firm, right? Itazum or itazawam, right? Because that word itaza, it means something shut in, or itazar means to shut in, right? But this is denoting a bone because the bone is shut in from the flesh, which is itazum, right? Or shortly, it's just shortly mentioned as itaza, right? Which just means bone, right? Because it is shut in, right? Because let's look at the right. It says backbone, but it is just denoting. Let's go back to that precept, right? It says you will bring near, it's like it, and you will bring near a sacrifice, peace offerings, right, for fire sacrifice unto the Lord. It's fat, right, with the tail, aliyah, the mayama, meaning the whole of the tail, right? La aimath, meaning with the bone, right? Ha aitaza, right? Yasayarna, they will turn it back, right? As in they're gonna take it out. The fat and the tail, all of it with the bone, right? So they're not going to cut out the bone, they're going to take it all out together, right? And that is Salakia. For a lamb, if you present a sheep as your offering, right? And it says wa'atha ha chalab, and to the fat that covers it, ha masaka, right? Atha ha korab, to the inward, wa'atha kal ha chalab, and to all the fat, ashar, which is beside the inwards, right? Al ha korab, right? So the inward of the inwards and the near the skin, right? You're gonna take out, right? You're gonna take out the tail, the whole part of the tail with the bone, right? Now let's see, let's get that word aliyah. Leviticus 3:9, right? Salakia. So it says aliyah, the rump, right? Or the ass, right? Aliyah from the root alha, right? It says the Arabic al-yath, the thick and fat tail of a sheep, such as that of the peculiar kind of oriental sheep, the smallest of which, according to Goliath, an eyewitness. Right, so that's talking about the rump of the sheep, the ass, the fat tail of sheep, right? Which is just the rear of the sheep, right? It says, in the original sense of strength, the stout part, the fat tail of the oriental sheep, the rump, right? Because that word Allah means strength, power, right? Denoting strength, right? Which really the word for strength is kach, right? So it says aliyah, right? From the word alha, to be round, to be thick, fat, right? Which is where you get the word awal, right? Which is an oak, right? An oak is thick, round, right? It's one of the strongest trees, right? Because they grow very thick, right? The Arabic says alha, to have fleshly buttocks or a big ass, to swear Allah or Allah, to affirm by God, right? Which is really alha, which means an oath, right? To swear, to curse, right? Just means oath. So yeah, that's why it's called the rump, right? Or the rear, right? So it says it's fat with the rear, the whole part with the bone, to remove it, and to the fat that covers it, to the inward, and to all the fat which is beside the inward, meaning the inner fat and the outer fat within the inside of the animal itself, right? Verse 10, wa atha shataya ha kalayath, and to the two kidneys, wa atha ha chalab, and to the fat which is upon it, ashar alhan, right, which is the caul, right, which is how they make sausages, right? They take the caul, which is the lining of fat, the webbing of fat, right? And that's how sausages are made, right? It says Ashar al ha-kasolium, right? Meaning which is upon the sides, right? Right, which is the abdomen, right? Which is called the hell was it? The Shalakia. Let me just click on that again. The flank, right? But really, right, that word kasal just denotes the abdomen, right? The abdomen, the hips, that whole area, which is called the flank, which is talks about the abdomen of an animal, right? Or the hip, which is denotes that whole area, right? But here it's saying which is upon the sides of it, right? The sides, right? As in because the kidneys are on the side, which is really on the hips or in the abdomen area. It's all the same, right? It's in the side of your body, right? Wa'atha ha yatharath, and to that which remains of it, right? Beside, meaning all the fat. You're going to take all the fat out, right? Beside the liver, al ha kabad. Beside the kidneys, al ha kalayath. Ya sayarna. Ya meaning he or they, right? They, sawar means to turn back, right? The na at the end is talking about the right, the fat, right, the liver, the two kidneys, right? They will turn it back, which is what it would read, yasayarna, right? As in remove it, right? And that's if you offer up a lamb, right? You got to take the rear out with the bone, the whole rear, right? To the fat, right? Right, that let's see what you showed real close to that, the fat that covers the entrails, right, with all the fat around it, right, to the two kidneys, right, to the fat which is upon it, right, which is the caul, the webbing, right, which is upon the sides, and that which remains of it, meaning all the fat around it, right, including beside the liver, right, which includes the liver. It's another way to say including. And beside the kidneys, right, as in including the kidneys, right. Verse 11, waha quatayarwa, and he will offer it at Salakia, and he will offer it as incense, the priest, ha kahan, upon the altar, ha mazabacha, right. Lacham asha, meaning that word lacham means bread, but it also is denoting, it means food, right? But here it means for a food offering, right? Which is a fire offering, right? Which is why it says lacham asha, unto the Lord, la Yahweh, right? Wa'im az korbanwa, right? And if it be a goat, right? Of an oblation, of his oblation, right? Waha kwaryabwa, and he will bring it near before the Lord, la panaya Yahweh, right? Wasamak atha Yadwa, and will lean to his hand upon its head, al Ra'ashwa, and will slaughter to it, Washachat athawa, before the tent of assemblage, la panaya achal mawa'id, Wazarakwa, and will scatter to it the sons of Israel, Benaiah, Aaron, to its blood, Athad, Damwa, upon the altar, right? Al Hamazabach, round about, Sabiab. See how many verses we got left. All right, Khan. Waha Kwaryab, and he will bring it near, right? Let's see. Salakia, and he will bring near of it Manawa, his oblation, Korbanwa, for an fire offering unto the Lord, Asha la Yahweh, right? To his fat, to the fat, Atha ha Halab, which covers it, Ha Masakah, to the inward, right, of it, Atha ha Korab, and to all the fat which is beside the inward, right? Wa Atha Kal ha Halab, Ashar al ha Korab, right? So that is for a goat. Wa Atha Shataya ha Kalayath, and to the two kidneys. Wa Atha ha Halab, and to the fat which is upon it, which is the call, Ashar al-Han, Ashar al-Ha-Kasalium, which is upon the sides of it, right? Wa Atha ha-Yatharath, and to that which remains of it, right? Beside the liver, al-Ha-Kabad, beside the kidneys, al-Ha-Kalayath. He will turn back to it, right? As in remove it. Yasayarna, or it's like it, Yasayarna, right? Waha Kwatayaram, and he will offer it as incense, the priest, Ha Kahan, upon the altar, Ha Mazabacha, right? Lacham Asha, right? For a food offering, which is a fire offering, odor pleasant, or slakia, for an odor pleasant, La Rayach, Nayachach, of all the fat, of all its fat, call Halab, which would be unto the Lord, La Yahweh. Verse 17, Hakwath, Iwalam, meaning an ordinance forever throughout your generations, it will be, La Darath Yakam, upon all, in all your habitations. Bakal Mashabath Yakam, or your dwelling places, right? Call Halab, all fat, Wakal Dum, and all blood, you will not eat of it, right? La'a Ta'akalwa, right? That doesn't mean you can't eat any fat. That's a big misconception. That's talking about the fat that was supposed to be offered of the sacrifices unto the Lord, which are these particular burnt offerings. This chapter is focusing on burnt offerings, which is why it did not even say you're not going to pour the blood, right, upon, pour it out upon the earth, right? Why? Because that's gonna be part of the burnt offering, the fat and the blood with it, right? So this doesn't mean you can't eat fat. Now, that does say in other verses you can't eat blood, because that is a law. But when it says you shall not eat any fat, that's talking about these sacrifices in particular, which are the burnt offerings. Because chapter 2 is touching on what? The meal offerings. This is talking about burnt offerings, right? Which you have chapter 1. Salaki, let me go to that real quick. Chapter 1 says, it just tells you, right, if it is a burnt offering, it was just an introduction, right, into burnt offerings, Salakia, right, whether it be burnt offering of a bird or of the herds of the flocks, right. Chapter 2 focuses on meal offerings. Chapter 3 focuses on the manner in which you shall offer burnt offerings, right? So that is the difference, right? So with that, this is Leviticus chapter 3. Going into the Hebrew, this brother Yatazadak, hero Israel. Lord willing, you were edified, and as always, giving all honor and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Makakwadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Kwame Yasha'Allah, Abad Babal, Shalom.